Hello everybody, we are back with another visual pattern challenge. So here is a pattern for you. Here's step 1, step 2, step 3, and your job is to figure out what's going on in this pattern. How is it changing from step to step so that you can predict how many diamonds are in step number 4, and then much more difficult, how many in step 43, and can you write an equation to figure out the number of diamonds in any step at all. If you'd like to accept that challenge, hit pause and work it out. All right, well, so let's take a look, just see if we can have some visual intuition about how this is changing from step to step. The first thing I notice about this is the difference between step 1 and step 3 is pretty big in the number of diamonds. So this is a pattern that's getting really big really fast. So I think our step 43 is going to have an awful lot of diamonds. Um, in this first step, I see a pattern of 4. If I try to carve out that pattern of 4 in the second step, what it looks like is if we've added a new border around 2 of the sides. So let's see if that happens in step 3. So this is a 3 by 3 pattern. We carve that out. And yeah, it looks like we've added a new border around the other side. So in this step, we added 5. In this step, we added 7. So it looks like for step 4, what we need to do is just add a new border like this. And that would give us a 5 by 5 grid. So there should be 25 in step number 4. So that would be our prediction looking at this visually. I think in terms of step 43, we definitely need to figure out an equation. And I'm guessing this is going to have something to do with x squared. I think this is a quadratic just because I see patterns of squares getting bigger. This is a 2 by 2 square. Here's a 3 by 3 square. Here's a 4 by 4 square, and then 5 by 5. But let's look at this pattern in a chart first. So I'm going to make a chart, and we're going to put our step number and our number of diamonds. So in step number 1, we've got 4 diamonds. In step number 2, that's 3 by 3, so that's 9 diamonds. In step number 4, that's 4 by 4. Sorry, in step number 3, that's 4 by 4, so we've got 16 diamonds. And then in step 4, we're predicting 25 diamonds. One of the methods for analyzing patterns is to look at the difference from step to step. So let's do that. 9 minus 4 is 5. 16 minus 9 is 7. And 25 minus 16 is 9. So we're not getting a stable number. This is not a constant difference between steps. That means it's not a linear pattern. So we can't use that old y equals mx plus b equation for a line to model this pattern. If you don't get a constant in those differences, you should take a minute to figure out the difference of the differences. So 7 minus 5 is 2, 9 minus 7 is 2. And now we've got a constant. It's changing, the difference is changing by the same amount every time. That means it is a quadratic, and our suspicion was correct. So there's x squared in here somewhere. So how can we apply x squared to make an equation here? I can't just use x squared because 1 squared, x would be the step number, so I'd put in 1. 1 squared is not 4. 2 squared is not 9. But if I look at these numbers, 4, 9, 16, 25, all of those are perfect squares. It's just like for the next step, right? So 4 is 2 squared. 9 is 3 squared. 16 is 4 squared. So I think to write an equation for each step number, all I have to do is add 1 to the step number. So if I took the step number, which is x, and I added 1 to it, so if we're on step number 1, 1 plus 1 would be 2, and then I squared that, I would get 4. So I think our equation is going to be y equals x plus 1 quantity squared. So take the step number, add 1 to it, then square it. That's going to give you the number of diamonds. I mean, you could FOIL this out if you want to. This would be y equals x squared plus 2x plus 1. I don't think that way of writing the equation gives you any extra information. In fact, I like this one better because it shows you're adding 1 to the step number before you square it. So I like this. Well, let's test this, make sure it's working. So if y equals x squared plus 1 in step 2, x plus 1 quantity squared, it would be 2 plus 1 squared. Yeah, 2 plus 1 is 3 squared is 9. If we did that here, we'd take step 3, add 1, that'd be 4 squared. Yeah, that would be 16. So I think this looks like a good equation. We'll jot that down. Y equals quantity x plus 1 squared. Okay, now we can use that to figure out the number in step 43. So we would take 43, add 1 to it, and then square that. So whatever 44 squared is, let me just pull out my calculator here really quickly. And it looks like it's 1,936. You may want to double check my math on that one and see what you get, but I think that's correct. So step 43, we'd have almost 2,000 diamonds in this pattern. Well, how did that go for you? Did you come up with these numbers? Let me know. Thanks, everybody.